John McLay, welcome to BCFM. Where are we?
We are at the Weston Museum in the middle of the new exhibition, Adventures in Time and Space, 60 Years of Doctor Who Art.
Where did the idea for this begin?
Well, I'm quite an old Doctor Who fan. Have been since I was probably 7 or 8 in the 1970s. I'm that old. So John Pertwee was my doctor, Sarah Jane Smith was my companion, and I never stopped watching Doctor Who since that time, really.
So we're looking at the one-time worldwide collection of the art that goes with Doctor Who.
It's 147 different pieces. It's the largest collection of Doctor Who art ever assembled that we're aware of. It's mostly original art. So of the 147 pieces, I would probably say about 120, 125 of them are actually the original art. It's mostly book covers, BBC VHS video covers from the 1990s, comic art, merchandise art. It's quite a selection. All of the merchandise that's been associated with the programme for nearly 60 years.
And not only that, it's some of the artists as well.
Absolutely. We've got several artists here today who painted Target cover art back in the early 80s, and we've got 4 or 5 artists here today celebrating. One of them is actually from Weston. He did one book in 1988, and he's here today.
So I'm with Ian Burgess, and you're one of the artists, and this picture has come home.
It has. It's finally come home 35 years later. Yeah, I was born in Weston, went to art school in Weston, and that piece was actually my first professional job after pestering the publishers for a couple of years.
Were you a Doctor Who fan at the time?
Yeah, I was, yeah. I think probably like most artists, we'd grown up with it. And whenever the books used to come out, so I know a lot of the other artwork, I used to go into the local library down the road from here and just sit there and look at them. I didn't read them because I couldn't read very well, but I used to look at the artwork. And in 1983, my cousin got a job on Doctor Who called Colin Baker and became Doctor Who. I actually thought he was a really good doctor, and he had a rubbish time in it. Well, it was a good time, but he was kind of treated a bit rubbish. But he's always been a really good ambassador for it. He loved it. And now in his 80s, it's a constant drip of work coming in. So, and I was chuffed. My cousin getting the main, and then get the sack, of course, but never mind. We'll gloss over that one.
All of the art has been sourced from private art collectors, some of it from the artists themselves, but many of the artists sold the art on, and so it's in private hands, most of it.
Oh, so this really is your one time, if you're interested or curious, this is the one time you can see all of these together, because maybe they don't get seen again.
No, very rarely. Certainly not on this scale, because most of the art, as I said, is in private hands, and it's taken a year's worth of work to go around trying to persuade the artists to actually let me have their artwork for a year. And that was quite a big ask for some of them, but we got there in the end.
Okay, so for people listening, how can they find out information about this? Where should they go to on Google?
Well, they can go to the Museum of Weston website, and it'll tell you all the dates, the opening hours. So you've got about 3 months to see it.
So what has it been like today, getting the exhibition together?
It's been very special to see everybody here, and to see some of the artists, and to see the collectors here, and to really watch them see the different sections of art, and to really, I think they've been blown away by the scale of the exhibition. We've managed to fit a lot of art into a very small room. It's double hung, sometimes triple hung, so that's quite unusual in our art shows. So there's a lot on the walls. We've organised it roughly chronological into eras. The first section is the early years, which covers the first 6 seasons of Doctor Who, the first 2 Doctors, William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton. And then we move into the 70s, which is John Pertwee and Tom Baker, and then the 80s. And on the wall next to me is our comic wall, which is basically nearly 200 different comics throughout the years, showing the sort of variety of different art, how they've interpreted the Doctor over the years.
And also what this says is this is for children, but of course this is also for adults. It always was for adults.
Yes, it's technically a show that was made in the BBC Drama Department, not BBC Children's Department, so it's always been a family show. It has a very young audience, but I'm 55 and I still like it. So it does really appeal to all generations.
I'm 56, and one of the things that in my lifetime is that things are available. When we were growing up, you saw it once.
If that, yeah, and if you missed it on Saturday, you didn't see it at all.
And if that black and white TV set didn't heat up in time, you would miss it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we live in an era now where the entire back catalogue of Doctor Who, a classic era and new era, is available on BBC iPlayer. And that's something that, when I was growing up, we didn't have. We used to put our tape recorders next to the television and record the audio soundtracks so we can listen to it again.
So I should just describe that I'm looking at the original artwork for the first Doctor Who annual.
Published in 1965, and you'll see in the framed image there's the artist got the representation of the Doctor on the back cover slightly wrong, so he did a second piece that was stuck onto the artwork when the book was actually published. The funny thing about this annual is that it's cheap as chips. It's very common. The first annual you can buy it for £10, whereas the second annual is £100 because there was much fewer copies printed.
So, your favourite piece?
My favourite piece is probably the one that I own. I only own one piece in the whole gallery, and it was painted by Roy Knipe in 1978, and it was the cover artwork for a book called Death to the Daleks, and it's an exploding Dalek, and it's the image that we've used on the poster of the exhibition, and I'm very delighted to own the piece. It cost me a lot of money, and it's tiny. It's very, very small, but I love it.
So the exhibition runs until January the 27th in Weston-super-Mare.
Yep.
However, when does it come to Taunton?
It'll come to Taunton in July 2024, right the way through to October 2024. So it'll be the big family summer exhibition next year in Taunton at the Museum of Somerset.
John, thank you so much. I'm going to go and indulge myself and nostalgia myself.
Enjoy, walk around, enjoy the paintings.